Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. I'm your host, Joe, the wonderful Mr. Brian Beamish here from therationalinvestor.com. Thank you, as always, Brian, for helping us out here.
Hi, Joe. Great to be here. Hopefully, we can make a big positive difference in these people's worlds. That's what this is all about. Let's have some fun, right? Party.
Yes,
Woohoo.
sir.
Where's
That's the
Adam?
goal.
Adam, are you here? Hey, Adam's here. Awesome. I think Adam's our good luck charm. We got to rub Adam 3 times before we start every show.
Yes.
So, and just out of curiosity, Adam, how do we sound tonight? Do we sound any better? Give us some feedback here.
Yeah, we switched up the algorithm today, so
Yeah, as you can see, I think for whatever it's worth, I've got OBS running over here, and maybe what we'll do is, we'll do a GoFundMe campaign. A GoFundMe campaign to buy Joe a real computer. Ooh, Apple people aren't gonna like that.
no. So
Just kidding.
yeah, Apple is the issue with doesn't like OBS, but I'm glad to hear that it's going well here now. So
That's good. I mean, the most important thing is that we just have some fun. And we show these good people what an awesome platform Coinigy is. And hopefully,
awesome teacher that Brian is.
right? And hopefully this old man here can teach you all a couple new tricks and help you in your investment making decisions. Because really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Backing off of that, so actually, you do have a new term coming up for your Rational Investors School. You said starting September 12th, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Usually we do school terms, on the trimester kind of system, just like the university system. So September comes along, kids back to school. So I might as well have the adults going back to school. But actually, we have a lot of kids actually in the program too. In fact, it's so cool. We have one lady who's just awesome, and she is kind of doing the program with her son at the same time. And I'm so proud of her. I love that. I wish my mom and I could have done that kind of stuff when I was a kid. But so you know who I'm talking about, you. She'll probably be watching this, and I'm so proud of you. So yeah, we do have a school term starting here shortly. We do have a fun little raffle that we actually do every single term. The dates here, actually, this is about 1 week ahead of time. I'm not quite sure why we have the date countdown clock. Add another 10 days. We'll do that later on. I think we're actually using a different sign-up page officially, but I just asked the team what was the page they wanted me to use, and this is the one I just happened to have bookmarked. So for the purposes of tonight's show, that's fine. But the point here is that we do have a new school term coming up. And every single school term, we give away a free seat in a raffle. And it's always a fun show when we spin the wheel. And hopefully we change somebody's life for the better. So be sure, if you can, to pop on this. You can use this page, the join.therationalinvestor.com. And just click this button up here. Enter the raffle to win a free spot. Or, of course, if I've made such an impact on you and you're just like, you know what, I just got to commit now and just lock in my seat, you're more than welcome to sign up for the program. And as you can see, our introductory level 1 program is dirt cheap considering the hyperinflation that we're all going through right now. So $1,100 to change your life. And I have actually had a lot of people, especially with this upcoming crypto market, and the fact that, hell, I don't know whether you've seen or not. I think I've shown you this before, but I did it with Will when we did these before. But and this is when I first started up this website years and years and years ago. We took 1.25 BTC, which at the time was about $450. So that turned out to be about a $500 investment. And we actually liquidated the whole thing well over $350,000. But the challenge when I was doing the show with Will years ago was, could I take $500 and turn it into $100,000? So if I could teach you how to do this, and hey, guess what? We're coming into a brand new crypto cycle. Is it worth maybe investing $1,000 into your education, and getting to the point where you can actually replicate this kind of behavior. And actually, what's super cool, this is kind of a fun little shill for TRI, but we've actually set up a little old lady room in our Discord channel. And the boys and girls on the site are just super insanely active, just showing asset after asset after asset that we're accumulating. We're following a very specific type of risk taker, our little old lady. And as you can see, and hopefully what you've seen from working with Brian is that if we're ever buying an asset, the chart, in fact, actually there's all of us, right? Old but still lit. But like every single, here's a chart that I just posted today, but every single chart should look almost identical. Does that not look like the kind of stuff that I've talked to you about on the Coinigy show?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's the exact same thing over and over and over. So if you are interested, if you need, there are a lot of people, full disclosure, if you've watched these Coinigy shows and all the Coinigy shows that we did in the past, is there actually, can you direct us to maybe where?
It's all on our YouTube channel there.
Okay.
So.
How would I find that? Do I scroll down to the bottom here or something?
Yes. Let me
I remember we used to have like actual archive here.
Yep. I'm about to dig through. We recently redid that homepage.
I'll tell you what, I'll show you on our website just because Brian's so cool. Let's see, over here in our library, we have a library. I mean, some people actually love to just join the site just for the library alone. But here, look, you can see Coinigy shows Bitcoin Trading Academy. Do you remember that? I don't know whether you were around then. So we used to do all these guys. This is forever ago. TRI Coinigy free TA tutorials. Remember, in fact, actually, we just updated these, didn't we?
Yep.
So are these the old ones or the new ones? I think those are.
Those look like those are the old ones. So.
All right. So maybe I can get some new links from you. Yeah. And then the Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk Show YouTube archive. There we are. And you also get some shorts thrown in. Yeah, I know that guy. And there we are. Now we're live. Hey, everybody. Anyway, there's Will.
Yeah, there we go.
See, one day sorry?
Streamed 6 years ago.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I mean, God, we did this a long time. So anyway, point here is, you want to have some fun. You can, believe it or not, I've actually had people teach themselves how to trade just by watching all of our videos. And of course, TRI has a video channel here, and all of our shows, of course, that we do. We basically do shows like every single day. Little clips. We have a show on the weekend called the Broiler Chicken Show. Why broiler chickens? Why not? What the hell? Sounds like a good name for a show, right? And we've actually had people that like literally have taught themselves how to trade just basically watching all the free content. Now, so that's the great part about what I do. And what do you think, Joe? Are you starting to learn the process here working with me?
Definitely. It's been awesome to learn. You've been super easy to learn too. Like you break it down into digestible information and explain it in a way that it's a lot easier to comprehend.
Cool. So, the point here, you could be just like Joe, but I'll be honest with you. I really, I'm the type of, I'm not that smart. So if I have to learn something, I really like hands-on help. And, all of our education programs have multiple instructors and they have multiple TAs, and it's very, very interactive. Hours and hours and hours of pre-recorded lectures. In fact, actually, you can go on this page and you can learn all about our school program, everything that's involved. Probably some of you know who this guy is. He's pretty popular in the crypto space. Do you know who that is? Actually, he does, and actually be interesting. Did you ever meet Da Vinci?
No, not in person. So
I think he's living over in the Middle East or something now. So.
Yeah, he's in Dubai.
Yeah.
think so.
Anyway, the point being, a great resource to learn about our education program and what you get for your money spent. Also, some fun videos and stuff you can learn about how people feel about the program. I really love this page. It's a bit old, it's a bit dated, and like I said to you earlier, we do have new pages that I should probably be using. But the team will direct me when to use those when they go live. So you can really learn off of this page what we do.
And the
And
link to this is in the description here.
right
So
on.
got it
And
down there.
I think probably the big thing here is that a lot of people need sort of a lot of hand holding to understand this is a process, right? There are different types of market participants. And the weird thing is that if you actually talk to the regular media, well, not talk to, but listen to like the regular media and stuff, and even when you listen to like social media influencers and stuff like that, they don't quite ever convey the idea that, you don't have to go and throw all your money at one idea. In fact, that's actually kind of dumb. And how you actually manage your money is a huge portion of this sort of the process. And I'd actually be curious, Joe, I'm going to put you on the spot here. How many rules of investing does Brian have? Do you know how many rules of investing I have? Uh-oh. Now this could get tricky. Where's that notebook? Where's that notebook?
Right here.
Uh,
So we've got our 3 reasons to make a trade is
good.
it popped in my head, but
So the question is, Brian has X amount of rules of investing. Which rule of investing does that 3 reasons to justify taking a trade? Which rule does that fall under? So maybe write this down. I'll let you know. Let's see. Probably you guys, Adam, you definitely know the answer to this. Hey, and we've got Hex Love. I don't know. Mr. Hart's gonna need a little bit of love here with his adventures with Mr. Gensler. So welcome to the show, Pacific Life. Hello, Pacific Life. Pacific Life says, what about our tomorrow with BTC? I wonder what that means. What about our tomorrow? Tomorrow? Yeah, you want to know what's going to happen? I got to get my crystal ball. The only problem is I was bowling with it last week and I think I broke it. It was pretty dumb. Yeah, what a way to use a crystal ball. Eh? So unfortunately, I'm not really very good at predicting the future. But yeah, you can listen to my rant and maybe you can get some value out of it. Excellent, Adam. All right, so Adam just gave you. Actually, Adam just gave you the two rules for investing.
I do have the don't risk more than 5%.
Excellent.
I've got the old lady, never risk more than 5% of your portfolio.
Right, but interestingly enough, there's a number of different ways to attack that 5% rule. Like a margin trader that trades like futures contracts. They're going to take a very, very different approach to that 5% rule than our little old lady. In fact, if you trade on margin, you cannot be a little old lady. By definition, it's impossible. So the point being that, and I have 2 specific rules of investing, and basically you got them, and it's not a bad idea. Maybe write them down. Number 1, as Adam says, is you have to approach the market from a systematic perspective. It's critical. And really, the easiest way to think about it, the good part about, living online in the YouTube world and social media and all this is most of you people are actually, you understand the scientific process fairly well. So if I say a term like Boolean logic, do you know what that means, Joe?
Do not. Boolean?
Boolean. B starts with a B. Boolean. No. It just simply, it simply is it's a function, and the function goes, if this and that, or this other thing, then do that.
Okay.
Else, don't do anything.
Yep.
That's Boolean logic. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Do you understand how that works with do you have 3 reasons to justify taking a trade?
Yes.
So
100%.
if reason number 1
Yep.
and reason number 2
Yep.
and reason number 3, then pull the trigger. Else, don't do anything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's rule number 1. It's really simple. You'd be surprised how I would say 90 to 95% of all people in the marketplace do not use that simple process when making an investment decision. And actually, most of the time, it's, well, I don't know. This guy was saying this thing's going to go to the moon, so what the hell? I've inherited $5,000 from Uncle Louie, and what the hell? I threw $5,000 at this thing. Let's see what happens.
Mhm.
That's not a potion for success. It sucks. You'd like to think that it is. Maybe if you're really lucky, you win, but there's no logic behind why you won. So how are you going to replicate that in the future? So the whole point of the Boolean logic and the 3 reasons to justify taking a trade is there's some logic behind your actions in the market. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, I was an investment advisor for many years. In fact, actually, I was just at the bank opening up a brokerage account, and I told the lady who was like a senior bank advisor, she had glasses and gray hair and the whole damn thing, and she said, "Well, how many years experience do you have?" And I said, "Well, I got my first job in the market in 1988. Where were you in 1988?" She was like, "Oh, I was in junior high."
The twinkle in my parents' eye.
Yeah, if that,
Yeah.
all you young whippersnappers. So, I mean, I've been doing this game a very, very long time. And the irony of all of this, I mean, the true irony of all this is that nobody is reinventing this game. You know, one thing that drives me nuts about social media influencers is they always seem to sort of say, "Hey, I've got the secret. And if you listen to me, then you're made in the shade. But don't listen to that guy because he doesn't know what he's doing."
Yeah.
And the irony of it all is that if you actually listen to guys who know what they're doing in the market, they all basically do the same thing. Hey, do you remember what it's called? The something? The second word starts with a P.
The
Process.
process.
You ever heard me use that expression before?
Yes.
Anyway, the process, right? That's what I'm actually here to teach you how to do. And you know, the point of the education program is you could sit and listen to all the social media influencers, and you can try and pull apart, hey, that's kind of an interesting thing, and you can put it all together. In fact, we had this one guy who watched all of my YouTube videos back and forth. His name was he had a funny screen name, the Great Del Moody. And he actually openly said, "Well, Brian, you basically taught me how to trade, but it took me 2 to 3 years of watching your YouTube videos every single week and he literally created a user's manual how to trade the stock market based on my videos." Or any market, really. I think he was more crypto oriented. Now he's off working at some competitor's website now, I guess. So anyway, all the best to him. But that's sort of my mission, right? I have a weird mission here where what I'm really trying to do is trying to make a positive difference in this world and trying to sort of justify, I mean, for all the viewers watching, I don't really have to do this. I get some sort of joy out of talking. I seem to like to talk a little bit, eh? And I've got a bit of experience in the field. So, you know, my mission here is to educate Joe and anybody who's watching over in Coinigy and also watching real time on YouTube, the same as I did for Will all those years ago, and the same that I did for Mr. Del Moody. Now, not everybody can be a self-teacher. That's actually really difficult. And if you don't have 2 or 3 years to invest, here's the shortcut. Program's 12 weeks in duration. It's extremely intense. You will work your butt off. And there's about 2 to 3 hours of video lectures every week. And there's 2 to 3 hours of in-class Q&A with our fucking rocket scientist level 1 instructor Grim. He's just one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And he's so down to earth. He's a programmer for Red Hat. So it's like he's like, the whole sort of if then else structure to all of this. He loves that stuff, right? He just eats it for breakfast. So, if you want to learn the process and you want to sort of cut down that learning curve for $1,000, actually, no, $1,097. Some people have told me it's the best money they've ever spent in their life. In fact, actually, I had one person just even recently that said that way, way more value than any of his university education, which is remarkable, eh?
That is.
I mean, if I can teach you, like I showed you, if I could teach you, because we're heading into a crypto cycle here, right? We spent the past year and a half going through crypto crap. And every 4 years, we got to do this. So they've now washed the market out. And we're in basically about the last 6 months of the washout process. So we're getting ready for the next bull. Do you want to do something like what I showed you there on that... where was that? Oh, yeah, it's called X now or something. Isn't that funny? I still call it Twitter, and everybody still says, oh, you're tweeting and stuff like that? I don't know whether anybody's actually calling it the new name or not. But anyway, I mean, do you want to do something like this? It's up to you. Anybody can do this. So anyway, are you ready to rock and roll? Is that did you get my sales pitch? What do you think? Was that a half-decent sales pitch?
Told me.
All right, cool. Well, you're lucky because you get like an in-person one-on-one tutorial every week. I'd take advantage of this if I were you.
I have that.
And I think I've told you, anybody who's actually watched these videos in the past, I think I've told you, Joe is such a sweetheart. I even said before we got going, if I happened to have been a young lady, I would be very worried if I was Joe's girlfriend.
Honorable man.
But
I appreciate
I think Joe's an absolute gem of a person. So I'm more than happy. Yeah, I'm going to use you as a conduit to make a positive difference in this world. All right.
Much appreciated.
All right. So anyway, you've already got some notes for tonight. And next week, we will pick up the quiz, and I will ask you this question repeatedly.
I've got it. I'm ready for it.
All right. So we've actually, most of the time when we do these shows, and we look at price analysis, and we look at price charts, a lot of this conversation is going to be around that first rule of investing. What did we say the first rule of investing was?
Trading with the Boolean logic.
Okay. Boolean, and really what I want to hear you say is an algorithmic approach.
Algorithmic approach
to your investment making decisions. And really all you got to do is just put if, then, else. Yeah. And now here's a question for you. About if, should we just sort of start risking money willy-nilly in the marketplace under the assumption that our 3 reasons or if then else statement is going to work?
No, because you need to have the 3 reasons to make a trade first.
Right, but what I'm asking you is, how do you know that these 3 reasons are actually going to work and they are going to actually produce desired results?
How do you know? Because the proof is in the pudding.
Well, but you might just go and say, you know what? I heard this guy on social media says, anytime I see an X in the price, I buy.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Okay, fine, whatever the hell that means. And then over there you go, well, anytime Richard Hart goes on social media and starts crying, I sell. Because he famously did that in the 2018 market top. That was hilarious. He started crying on social media. And he was going, "You broke Bitcoin! Oh man, I'm so upset." And he actually started crying. It was funny. Or the point is that actually, Mr. Hexlove, you probably know, you probably remember that. uh, anyway, it's kind of interesting how he's in a bit of hot water these days. I don't know whether you know his story or not, but oh boy. But the point here is, how are you going to find out whether this stuff works or not?
Um, trying to see if I have it in my notes.
The answer is, for sake of time,
Yeah,
paper trade.
paper trades. Okay.
So, our level one instructor, and what is a paper trade? And a paper trade is something as simple as, I kind of like this idea, IMX. I don't know what the heck it is, but what the hell. I am going to write down in a log, and here you can even see, here's a very typical log that I do on a regular basis with my site people. This is my futures trading. I cover gold, crude oil, the stock market, and Bitcoin. And like literally every single day, I'm pulling up the charts and trying to figure out levels and what do I see as price objectives, blah, 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 blah. And actually some trades that I was watching for today. But in essence, to prove to my subconscious, and I don't know whether you've probably seen, let's see, where's a good example? Here's one. Well, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. I think I've shown you this on Coinigy with altcoins. This would be, oh no, I got screwed up the link. This would be a futures trade. So this is just simply buying W's. You ever heard me talk about buying W's? I don't know whether you've ever heard me say that.
Yes.
So, there's a pretty typical trade, but you can see here, all I did was I just put okay, I'm going to buy on a breakout of this level. My target is going to be up here. I'm going to move my stop to scratch at 50% of the anticipated move, and let's see what happens, kind of idea. And this is there's no money spent. I think we can, like I said, if we do crypto, I can come on over here and I can say, oh, great, I'm going to buy there. I'm going to, I don't know, maybe take profits up there. And I'm going to risk to there. I'm just totally arbitrarily just grabbing this right out of nowhere. And I'm going to take a screenshot of this. All this is, hell, what's my measure that I would like you to try and shoot for as a minimum risk reward ratio? Do you remember?
Well, the minimum's 2-to-1.
Yeah, especially when you're first starting out at this game, I think that's a good idea. So really all this is saying is I'm going to buy here. What are the reasons? I'll leave that up to you. I'm going to risk to a break of this low, and at 2 times whatever risk it is I'm going to take, I'm going to force myself to take profits. So just like that, take a screenshot, right? You can even go like copy chart image or copy link, grab a spreadsheet. And really actually what I wanted you to do, and maybe we can work on this over the next while, is like create a fictitious Coinigy account.
Yeah.
And let's just maybe throw like $500 into it or something. Just something really simple. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. And let's just trade that $500 like we're paper trading.
Yeah.
It's a nice simple number. What I usually tell people that are just starting out is to do 20 paper trades. And if you can actually execute the process without any mistakes, and you see at least a 2/3 win rate, which is pretty high in the trading world. Really, interestingly enough, and maybe you ought to write this down, how often do you have to win if you actually force yourself to have a 2-to-1 risk-reward ratio on every single trade that you take? I'm going to buy something, and I'm going to risk $1, but if it works, I'm going to get paid $2. How often do you have to be right just to be a scratch trader? Just to be breaking even, not make any money, but not lose any money either. How often do you have to be right?
50%,
No.
or
Let's do the math.
wait, so you're saying,
Let's say we'll have three
oh,
trades.
33%. Sorry.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
And that's really important to understand.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say that's my two losers. And we'll have one winner. Let's say we did three trades, right? And of course, the one winner is going to be twice the size of the loser, right? Something like that. So that means that, and maybe we'll color this green so you can see this a little easier. All right, there's my winner. And notice I've put, $3 into the marketplace. I lost $1 with the first red box. I lost $1 with the second red box. I made $2 with the third red box. I am now basically just a scratch trader. That's only being right 1 out of 3 times. So that's really important to understand. So what did I say was ideally the number we actually want to shoot for in our degree of accuracy? And let's back up a second. What happens if you're right? And let's say we do 4 trades now. So because you can't break 3 into halves, right? And let's say you're right 50% of the time. So that means you have 2 winners and 2 losers. Green boxes are your wins, red boxes are your losers. Are you a profitable trader? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 trades.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
In fact, when I used to be a prop trader in the CME, most of the floor traders, they were looking for 55% accuracy. But I think actually we can do a little bit better than that. I think we can get this accuracy up into the 2/3 area.
Okay.
So that means, and of course this is extremely disciplined, and trust me, being disciplined is very difficult in this game. But if you can be right 66% of the time and wrong only 33% of the time, you tell me, are you making money as a trader?
Yes, you are.
And this is like the holy grail of trading. And most people just don't understand this. Your objective is not to be right 100% of the time. Don't ever put yourself into that situation where you have to be right. In fact, most people that do the social media thing, that do the online newsletter thing, that do the buy my trading course thing, they actually paint themselves into a really bad corner by saying, follow me, I'm like not right 90% of the time. Because what usually happens in those scenarios is to be right, 80, 90% of the time, you're actually doing things like you're taking small wins, but that one loss is like huge. So here's a situation where in this case you have the metric backwards, where you say I'm gonna get paid $1 when I'm right, and I'm right 75% of the time. But because I don't use any stop losses, that one time that I'm wrong out of 4, it can usually wipe you out. And I've seen a lot of people in my career go down this path. And it's so frustrating because you could spend like 6, 8 months, maybe even the better part of a year building up all these small wins. One big ugly loss comes in because you don't understand risk management and your whole year is gone. Or, and I remember there's one guy in particular, we called him, his name was Landon, and he just didn't understand the principle of risk management. One bad trade went against him and he literally lost his entire account because he just couldn't admit that he was wrong. Terrible. So the secret of trading is to turn this metric upside down. And actually, as a new trader, it's perfectly all right to be only 50% accurate. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Because 50% accurate at 2-to-1 risk reward means that at the end of the day, you've taken 4 trades and these are your wins and these are your losses, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Anyway, I don't know whether that was any of value to you, but you're getting your sort of trading tutorial here to start
Yeah.
off the show today. So anyway, super critical that you try and make sure that your average winner is bigger than your average loser. This is like religion when it comes to trading. Now, you should be able to look at this chart and tell me exactly where I should be long this idea. So what do you think, Joe? Based on all the stuff that I've told you over the past... How
Yeah.
long have we been doing these shows? Probably about 3 or 4 months now, eh?
Yeah. Probably back. I think we started like mid-May.
All right. Is there any reference point you can see on this chart that's pretty easy? Hint, hint, hint. There's a big fat date right under where you should be buying. Make it nice and easy for you.
Right. The 2023.
Why?
Because you had the W.
Very good. That's it. Don't say anything more. You're done.
Beautiful.
Down.
Oh,
Up. Down. Breakout.
yep.
This is the holy grail when it comes to market timing. W's are bullish. M's are bearish.
Yes, sir.
And actually, what's really cool about this for sort of the analytical that are in our group here, try and think of W's as this right-hand side of the W needs to be higher than the left hand. Why?
Higher highs and higher lows.
Defines a...
uptrend.
All right, and the way that you visualize that is just connect the dots. Hey, that's an uptrend. Now, where does this uptrend actually confirm?
When you see a W on the other side of a trend line.
Well, no, just let's stick to the W.
Oh,
Don't worry about that just yet. Where does this W actually confirm?
On the breakout.
What does that mean?
It confirmed, let's see, when in...
How about we just simply say when price goes through the middle of the W?
Yeah.
Does that sound agreeable?
It does.
So this is actually where most noobs make mistake, is waiting for this trend confirmation to actually happen before they actually call a bottom in a market. And you can see, if you had come along here and said, okay, you know what? This is the bottom. Or even, hell, let's even go back a little bit. And you said, this is the bottom. And it went back up and then boom. Slammed through. Nope. I guess that's not the bottom. And we go down. We rally back up. Okay, no, this is the bottom. I'm absolutely guaranteeing you this is the bottom. We go up and boom. Nope, not the bottom yet. So do you see how as soon as we get the W, hello, we actually get some sign that, hey, maybe this is the bottom. And the good part about W's is it actually makes the process of doing this thing over here really easy. So you can just say, I'm going to buy where the W confirms. I'm going to risk to a break of the bottom of the W. And I'm going to force myself to take profits at whatever twice that risk level was. See that 2 to 1 there?
Yep.
You see the W there? Enter there. I'm going to risk to a break of here. Take profits there. And lo and behold, let's see if that logic worked here. There's the W. I'm going to risk to a break of these lows. Where's 2 to 1? Did you see your 2 to 1 risk reward hit?
Yes.
This is the secret to all this stuff, Joe. I mean, it really is. It's just this simple. And the irony of it all is that most people in the market actually way overthink this stuff. I mean, way overthink it. It's ridiculous. But it really all comes down to just this concept. So, what do we call this part of the process? Do you remember? What do we call it? Hunting these M's and W's. Do you remember what we call that?
The market structure.
Oh, nicely done. You're my hero. Hugs and kisses.
Oh,
And and we said, how many reasons would you like to justify to take a trade?
three. So
So,
location.
okay,
In
so you're jumping ahead of me here.
okay.
So my question for you, and obviously you already know the answer, but I'm trying to, especially anybody watching the video, hopefully we're doing a little bit of teaching here too, right? So the question here is, where does this market structure come in that three reasons to justify taking a trade? The answer, of course, is that usually this is the third. This is the final reason to justify actually pulling the trigger. Reason number one we said was
Location.
all right. So, and actually, remember, let's backtrack here a little bit and let's show you the TRI Discord room, our little old lady lounge. Do you see kind of a theme here? Like, look at that guy! Holy moly! What if you were going? Can you see that image? I don't know whether you can
Yeah.
see that image or not. If you were going to describe this to somebody, or maybe just go out in the street and ask them to describe it, don't disregard all these squiggly lines down here, and just simply say, how would you describe where price is relative to what you're seeing here? What would you say?
Location. Location. Location.
Okay, but what does that mean? I mean, describe
Uh,
this chart. What does this look like?
it's seen better days.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. So
Uh,
what's another way of expressing that?
it's been on a downtrend. Uh,
Okay, what's okay? And so what I'm kind of looking for here is I want to buy down markets. I want to uh I want to try and focus on assets that are trading at the bottom end of their trading range.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And unfortunately, and you know how angry I get at that Allen guy,
Yeah.
because when he went on Saturday Night Live, and actually it's going to be a great teaching tool for the rest of my life and your life. However long we do this, this is going to be a really, really good test case. The only issue is we have to find a chart that we can
Try it
use.
on like
Binance, they probably have a ton of data, right?
yes.
Where's Binance? USDT versus Tether. All right, so Mr. Allen goes on a popular what would you call Saturday Night Live? I mean, do any of them on Saturday Night Live know how to invest?
I wouldn't put my money on it.
They're really good at telling jokes, right? I don't know whether they're really good at investing. And he went on Saturday Night Live when the price was right here. Was that a good investment decision to buy Doge right there?
No, those are the people that are sleeping on the couch.
That's right, because they were watching Saturday. They were watching him on the couch, and then like, literally the show ended and the price collapsed, and they were never given permission to get off the couch, were they?
No, their significant other told them,
If they're lucky,
that's your place now.
if they're lucky, they're sleeping on the couch. If they're unlucky, hell, they might even be divorced. They're in a bachelor, apartment complex now. Anyway, so the point here is that are we going to try and would we consider this good trade location?
No.
Absolutely not. This is doing the exact opposite. This is buying up markets. And I can tell you, this is what the public does. And the sad part about it is there's basically two different types of market participants. So, who do you think those market participants are? If you were going to describe the market as two different categories,
It's the public and the
that's one,
institutions.
and institutions is the other. Who
Yep.
makes money in this game? Does it?
Institutions.
Right. Who loses money in this game?
Us, not us, but the public.
Yeah. If
Not,
anything,
yeah.
nobody watches this show. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
Um, and none of my students. They actually do very, very well. Adam here, I think I told you earlier, Adam's turning into an options maven. Oh my goodness. And actually, he banged out a huge win today while the stock market's collapsing. Go
There you
figure. Adam's a oh Jesus. I'd buy Atom futures if I could.
go.
Anyway, so if we know by definition that the public loses money, and we know by definition, well, we don't know for certain because they're not ever never going to tell us. But we absolutely know for certain that the public loses money at this game called investing, right?
Mhm.
And we also know that they have a bad habit of buying up markets. Then that means by definition, who's actually selling to those people these up markets? Somebody must be selling to them.
The institutional players
Right, because they make money
selling
at
the
this
up
game, right?
markets, buy the down
Well,
markets.
and this is what I'm getting to. So if the public is buying this up market, and we
Mhm.
know that the institutions are selling into this, and by the way, I sold like $50,000 worth of this Doge right up here. So I did
Nice.
a very, very good trade. I was very proud of myself. Sedona
Good.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so
pumping.
I made some pretty good money off of Alan's pump and dump. Um,
Sure. So did he.
well, actually, it would be interesting because did he actually sell any of his assets? Be curious. And this is the dangerous part about crypto is if this was a stock, and you probably see that he actually makes public reference to the fact that he's buying and selling his Tesla stock. Um, but we don't know actually what he's doing here because he doesn't have to disclose what he's doing. My hunch is that his algorithms and stuff were trading away. And sadly, we talk about Alan all the time on the site because I have very little respect for him. Because I even said this on the site today. He actually uses his autism diagnosis, and he is very light on the spectrum. But he actually uses as an excuse for his behavior. And I don't know whether you know my son. He's 23 years old, and he
Mm.
is low functioning autism, and that is real autism. And
Mm.
it actually pisses me off because a lot of people have a lot of empathy for people with autism, and Alan leverages that to get empathy from the public, and yet he doesn't express any empathy to the public whatsoever. And even somebody just before I got the video started tonight goes, "Well, what do you expect? Do you actually expect him to actually be a nice person?"
Yeah.
And that's the tragedy of a guy like me. I went through an absolutely horrific life experience 12 years ago, and I've literally dedicated my entire life since that event to literally helping people. That's all I do. And actually, it's funny, the people that look after my son, one of the guys even was like, "Well, what do you do for a living?" And I literally told him, "Well, I just help people. That's all I do." So,
Awesome.
anyway. Okay, so back to our story. Point here is the public going absolutely apeshit bananas over Doge right now? I don't think so. I don't hear anybody talking about this in the public. Do you?
Nope. Nope.
Do you think institutions are buying this asset now?
Yeah. I could see.
It's down, isn't it?
Yeah.
In
Buy the down
fact,
markets.
we have a fun little tool that Brian likes to use called the reload zone. So you can take the fib tool over there on Coinigy. You saw how I did that. 61.8 to 78.6. This is the classic stock market, futures market. Remember, I used to be a prop trader. And really, this is where I sort of cut my teeth as a trader. So this tool, this fib retracement tool, this is our bread and butter. I've actually found in the time that I've been working in crypto and more specifically in the venture cap part of the market, that venture cap and especially things like crypto really respects the 78.6 to 88.6 correction window.
Okay.
So if you want to use this as a handy guide for is this asset buyable? Is this asset a down market? Am I chasing an up market? This is a really handy, simple tool to use to identify that, yes, This is a down market. Institutional players are going to be acquiring this thing down here. And you've probably heard me also say, I can't tell you how many times though in my career I have literally seen assets go and put in massive bottoms right off the 78.6 fib. Have you ever heard me talk about that before?
Yep.
So you can see that if price actually does rally back above this high, then that's basically just history repeating itself over and over and over. Also, too, do you see how we said reason number one was,
Oh, location.
are we in location? Can I get a good check mark here?
Yeah.
I think so. We said reason number two. Now, we haven't talked about this yet, but reason number two.
Indicator confirmation for like divergence.
Right. Well, and what we,
Or
and
just
the, sorry.
but sorry, any but like the MACD is an option and
Right.
stuff.
The point here is what you really want to see is when you do your analysis, that you actually pull up a price chart and you see indications from the indicators that, hey, this thing's actually a little stronger than what price itself is leading you to believe. And that's that concept of divergence. So
Mm.
can you see using Doge here is a good example, but can you see how the MACD indicator is actually making higher highs and higher lows, even though price is making lower highs and lower lows? Yeah, something's not right here. That's that concept of divergence. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if we're just going to use something in like your notes, because obviously you listen to some crazy guy ranting away on the interneting about indicator confirmation. Do
Yeah.
you think we could use that as indicator confirmation that, yeah, actually, you know what? This thing's actually stronger than what price is leading you to believe. If
Yeah.
we do that up arrow. And then what I would suggest you do at the same time so that you can visually see this is you just draw a line off of the lows. And you go, that is going up and that is going down. That's divergence. You can also see it in these price momentum indicators, especially through here. Beautiful W's there. So this indicator here, the Willy, which is actually an indicator on Coinigy that you can actually just type in here and just go the Willy. Oh, there it was.
I think
there.
it's the William.
Williams 2113, the Willy.
Yep.
So you can pull it up really simple. There it is. And this indicator actually I built myself. And it's a heavily modified Williams percentage R indicator. And this moving average, when this moving average gets either above minus 20, i.e. overbought, or below minus 80, i.e. oversold, it's telling you that the market's gone too far in one direction or another. So in this particular case, you can see the market is technically oversold down in here. At the same time, like we said, we've got MACD actually making higher lows and higher highs. Divergence. Indicator confirmation. So 3 reasons for a trade. Have we got indicator confirmation?
Yep.
I'd say so. Check. Last thing we're looking for is, can we get some price structure?
So that's like M's, W's, and some fractals.
So if you're going to buy, what do you want to see?
We want to see a W.
So can you see, remember we had location and then we had the divergences come in. Can you actually see it went down, then back up, then down and broke out? Boom, right there.
Yeah.
It's interesting how even this recent sell-off, notice they didn't take it through this low. As I had said earlier, if you want to make this really easy on yourself, I actually think there's a huge W that's trying to confirm here. And, we often say that you really want to zoom out to a higher time frame chart to really identify the bigger picture. I think it's in your best interest, anybody watching this video, If you want to get good at technical analysis, start at your highest time frame. Go through this 3-step process. Do I have location? Do I have indicator confirmation? Do I have price structure? And if that's the case, then you can actually start thinking about justifying taking a trade. And actually, everything that I just showed you, everything I just talked about in the past, 10, 15 minutes here, this is basically our education program for the level 1. It's teaching you step by step by step with lots of lectures, lots of homework assignments, quizzes to make sure that you understand this concept. So, anyway, there it is. So, when it comes to something like Doge, what do you think? Would I be interested in maybe shopping for this kind of asset right now?
Once you get that final you'd be interested, but got to get that final price structure.
Well,
Wait,
remember we said we did have a little W down here. So that is
yeah.
technically working. We did have bullish divergence. We did have trade location. So believe it or not, actually, I don't really mind being long this name here.
Okay.
And then, what did we say rule number 2 was?
The indicator confirmation, or you
No.
the rule. That
Yeah,
is
that's a bit of a
more than
curveball
five.
there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sorry. The never risk more than 5%
All
of your
right. So now we can talk about. All right. So we've gone through step 1 and of Brian's 2 rules of investing. And we got a half decent idea here, which is ironic because I don't really like Alan, but at the same time, too, I'm not a snob to turn my nose up at a good investment idea. And if I can make a couple bucks on Alan's back, I'll do that.
Mhm.
Who said capitalists have to be, I don't care whether I'm friends with the guy or not. I'll still make money off of him.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then a lot of people go, hypocrite. But actually, I have a little bit of this position on. So anyway, aside from the cheeky comments,
Yeah.
rule number 2 is we don't risk more than 5% of our portfolio on any one idea, right?
Yep.
There's a number of different ways to approach this. You can actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are some exchanges where you can buy like perpetual futures contracts, right? Doesn't Binance have perps? I think it does.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if you'd be able to see the perp contract on here. I don't even know how you'd even look that up. But anyway, the point being that there are forwards, and ironically enough, none of the quote unquote futures contracts that you see trading in crypto are actually futures contracts. The only futures contracts that are actually traded in crypto are the contracts that are traded on the CME. Everything else, technically speaking, are actually forwards contracts. In our level 2 program, which is a bit more advanced, we go into the futures industry in detail. And we really break apart what's the difference between a futures contract and a forwards contract. For simplicity purposes, none of the stuff that you see trading on crypto exchanges are technically futures, even though the crypto exchanges love to use the term. If keep in mind this is an unregulated space, and you see the problems that Mr. Gensler's having trying to keep these crypto kids honest. Good luck. And then, of course, if they're breaking the rules, they just leave the United States and they go hide over in China or something. But if there was, I'm the type of guy that I'm one of these old curmudgeons that I kind of am a stickler for, like some people actually will call this, where's a good one? Like these candles here, it drives me crazy. And I think I've had this conversation with you before. But this kind of candle with this absolutely huge wick and not much of a tail and a very little body. Do you remember what we call that with a huge wick up top?
Is that the doji?
Not quite. Doji would
What's
be
that?
like this one where it's sort of equal amount. And actually, this is a
Oh, the shooting
perfect doji.
star.
Oh, very good. So, and a lot of people mislabel these on social media and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Here's a really good example of a shooting star, right? That's in, if you want, just if you're here to learn how to trade, Just take a screenshot of this. Like, there's another one right there, right? And what happened following the shooting star? Oh, it looks like price went down. You know, what happened after the shooting star? Oh, it looks like price went down. So, you know, and actually this is what's called a hammer. And what happened after the hammer? Oh, price went up.
So
Um,
a shooting star is more bearish and a hammer is more bullish, correct?
Perfect. Not more, it just is, right?
Is
And then a doji, if you have a body then where the wick and the tail are almost equal and the body's pretty small, like you said, you call that a doji. If and here's also another doji. If a hammer is bullish and a shooting star is bearish, then by definition a doji should be
it's an indecision bar.
excellent. Well said. So it's so funny. Like people on social media, they always get these things wrong, and you get people that they'll actually call like this hammer has a tail, and they'll call this a wick, and that just it just grates a guy like me. Anyway, that's here nor there. All right, so back to our story. Where were we? Risk takers. So let's say, hypothetically, you inherited $5,000 from your Uncle Louis.
Yep.
Would I ever suggest anybody to go and throw the entire $5,000 into any one name and just risk that? No, that's 100% risk. What do we
Yeah.
say was our sort of threshold? You cannot risk more than that.
5%.
All right, so what's 5% of 5K? That's $250, right? So, and keep in mind, for a futures trader, 5% is a ridiculously huge number. A futures trader might even chop that in half and say, I am not going to risk more than $125 on this investment idea. That would be like 2.5% risk, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the point here is that if I go and plunk all my 5,000 bucks into this, and Alan goes and does something stupid, and this thing just collapses and goes to zero, and I didn't cut my loss at $250, well, Brian's going to be pretty angry at you, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Does.
But does it also not make sense that I could just simply take $250 of my 5,000? So I'm going to segregate this 250 bucks. Now I have $4,750 left over, and I'm just going to keep that in cash. That stays in cash. And I'm going to go and buy 250 bucks worth of Allen. How much of that investment can I risk? If I go and buy 250 bucks of Allen here, how much can I risk to?
It would be 2 to 1 of that. So
No. But we're not doing.
maybe I'm not understanding your question correctly.
Okay, I took 5%, because remember, 5% is our magic rule, right? We're not allowed to risk more than 5%.
Yep.
So I took 250 bucks out.
Yep.
There it is. $250 bill. And let's assume that the whole damn thing, Alan does something stupid and this thing goes right off the board. Poof, gone. How much money did I just lose?
Oh, 250.
Have I broken my 5% rule?
No.
Do you understand the power of that?
Yes.
Because I used to have a lot of retail clients, and hence the name Little Old Ladies. And they would just simply say to me, Brian, I don't want to hear about 2-to-1 risk rewards. I don't want to hear about you're going to call me because I have some sort of margin call. You know, I called you up and said, do you have a half decent investment idea for me? And I want my money working in the marketplace. But the last thing I want to hear is that you calling me up and saying, oh, well, we have to book a loss. I lost your money. So if you take this approach, which means that you still have 4,750 bucks lying, And how many investments can you make with that $5,000 if you take the 5% rule, 250 bucks, and you only invest that into a name? And you could literally see this go off the board and it wouldn't be that big of a deal because you haven't broken the 5% rule. How many different investments can you make?
A whole lot of them.
20,
Uh, yep.
right? 5% into
20.
100% means 20 trades. So that means I got a lot of shots I can take. Now, remember we said if I can book 2-to-1 risk rewards and I know that my investment here to zero is 250 bucks, then what does that mean I'm going to try and take profits at?
So it's a point at $1.50.
Well, how about 2 times, and oh, you're taking the actual number here. So that's
Yeah. Or yeah,
0.0759,
sorry.
right?
Yeah, so not $1.50, 15 cents.
15 cents.
Yep.
I'm going to sell half of the position because at 15
I'll
cents,
have
what's
on the
my
double.
$250 investment worth now?
500.
500 bucks. So if I sell half, and we call that a shod,
I'll half on the double.
right? So if I do that, then I get the little old lady's 250 bucks back. It goes back into the kitty and she has her $5,000 sitting there. And if she's like, Brian, you're an idiot. I don't want to do any more of this. I want my money back. I can just cut her a check for 5 G's, can't I?
Yeah.
Right? She has her money back. And then, of course, Omar chimes in. And you got to remember the tax man, too.
Yeah.
But the point here is I still have another half of this position still on, right?
Yep.
So that means I've got $250 still invested in this name. And now, what's my risk on this 250 bucks now?
Nothing.
That's right, because remember, I got my original 5 G's given back to me.
Yep.
Because I sold half on a double. Now, as Omar points out, if you want to bump that price up a little bit to make sure that you have enough for the tax man, that's always a good idea. And if anything, what I would suggest is have 2 separate accounts and literally take that 30% extra and simply move it over to a separate account and just put it in a T-bill or something, or like a money market fund if it's a really small amount of money, and just let that collect interest. And then that way, your accountant is going to absolutely love you when it comes to tax reporting season, because you're going to have that 30% in a side account, and you're going to have a notation of all of the deposits into the account of that 30% capital gain tax that needs to be withheld. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's getting a little bit more financial plannery-ish. But the issue here is we want to try and get ourselves into a position of strength and not go and blow ourselves up in case Alan blows himself up. So imagine if I have 20 of these little cars all working away. Do you see how the relative risk of my invested portfolio is actually pretty low? I don't know whether you understand that or not. But there's actually an old adage in the market that if you actually have more than about a half a dozen names in your portfolio, you are pretty much going to mimic the major index that all of these names happen to live in. So if you have like 20 names in a portfolio, and let's say they're junior stocks, then your portfolio is actually going to mimic, if you just leave it alone, it's actually going to mimic something like the Russell 2000 index. Now, I don't know whether we really have like an altcoin index. I suppose we did have those kind of index before Mr. Friedman, and I think it's really important that we acknowledge that I don't think Sam Bankman-Friedman is the guy that we should be angry at. The gentleman's name is Dan, is it Freeman or Freeberg or something like that? And Adam always corrects me on this. But that's the person actually we should be very angry at about FTX. I think Sam Bankman-Friedman, or Fried, or whatever that guy's name is,
Friedberg.
I think he was actually a pigeon. And I think I honestly don't think Sam actually is smart enough to pull off the con job that was pulled off. I think it was that Dan guy. And if you understand that Dan guy's history, he has a history of being a very, very criminal in his behavior. So what happened on the FTX actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And Constantine says, you know what? Throw them all in the same heap. They're all psychopaths.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point here is that if you actually take the little old lady approach and you break your portfolio into 20 different parts, number one, I'm not going to want you fully invested. Really, I would prefer that you only be about 50% invested, which means you'd have about 10 names on the books and you'd have about $2,500 in cash. And then that way, if you saw a deal that you really liked, you've got what's called dry powder. And that's always a way to play the position in strength. And then, what do you think happens to that free portion? Because remember, you sold half on a double and you got your original money back at this level. What happens to the value of that free position when this kind of nonsense happens? Kaboom.
Keep selling half on the double.
You could if you want. You could make a rule that I'm going to sell half on a double, and then I'm only going to sell the rest when Alan goes on Saturday Night Live. Or some, you could, or, it was crazy through this because there were Doge shillers on YouTube. And like these guys out of Ethiopia, or not Nigeria, right? The Prince of Nigeria. You ever heard of the Prince of Nigeria?
You've mentioned him.
A couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, God, they were criminal the way that they were running these shills and just suckering people into buying Doge up here. I don't understand how the hell it worked. And I don't understand if Alan was actually part of it, but it was criminal the way that they were behaving. It just shocked me. It just really was. He must have been involved somehow in all of that. But anyway, the point here is that this trade gets you into that risk-free trade. And then when this happens in crypto, what kind of car are you driving after this?
Lambo.
There you go. And I can show you countless examples of this. And believe it or not, I actually think this is what's coming down the pike. Once again, every 4 years this happens in this space. And I could even see it. It's been so long since that FTX shit is blown up. There's actually a good chance that SBF guy's going to get off scot-free over all this shit. There's actually talks that they're actually going to try and relaunch the exchange. That's how short-term memory these stupid humans are. And it's because of their short-term memory and they don't learn from their mistakes that I guarantee you that Dan Freeman guy is going to do this again. And again, and again, and again, and again. Sorry.
I don't know how people could trust that to ever put their money back into anything with FTX or tied to any of those guys.
I don't know either, but you know how long I've been at this game, right?
Yeah.
Nothing changes. It's the exact same thing. It's just, I'm going to swear here because that's the only way you can describe this. Same shit, different pile. It's nothing changes in this game of capitalism. That's the worst part about all this. So anyway, okay, there's your tutorial for the day, everybody. And Joe, hopefully, what did we call this type of risk taker in the marketplace?
What do we call that? Is the not risking more than 5%?
Wrong.
What?
The LOL. What do we call this type of risk taker?
Oh, little old lady.
Right. And I use these funny, cute terms to try and help you remember. Because the more cute, the more colorful they are, the more outlandish the concept is, the easier it is for you to remember this stuff. So a lot of the concepts that I like to teach are going to have really funny, weird names to them.
Hex asked, do you advocate more than one trade open for a single coin?
One trade. Well, I mean, the irony of it all with something like this is I could make the argument that you came along here and remember, the funny thing is about Alan is that he's actually telegraphs a lot of his behavior. And he came out right here and he was like, do you remember what he said in social media? Hey Josh, good to see you, bud. I hope Liam's doing well. It's kind of funny. Josh has so much respect for me, he named his kid after my kid or something like that.
That's up.
Do you remember what he said here? He actually famously put out a tweet. He goes, in a word, Doge. So clearly he was getting ready to ramp this thing here.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to just ride his coattails, he's also had some other picks that have gone absolutely horrific. But what the hell? If that's one of your reasons, if Alan tells me to buy and it's part of your algorithm, all right, well, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, oh, sorry.
I've mentioned that before, but yeah, right around then, it actually may have been towards April, actually, now that I'm looking at the chart. I had bought Doge way back before 2021, and then right
April.
before it went, yeah, like right there on that trade where it went up to $8, I sold and I thought I was the smartest man in the world. I mean, I took my profits and I'm proud of that, but it was, and then I was like, haha, I got out at 8 cents. Like, let's go. And then it just shot all the way up another
Went,
10. But I thought, and I was like, all right, whatever, like 20x my money. I was cool with it at that point. But I'd like sold it. I was so ecstatic about it. And then it kept going. I was like, all right, you still, I was like, you took profit, and that's all that mattered.
Well, and the irony of it all is, do you think you were alone? Probably not. And
No.
why did the market actually bottom at this level? Like in our education program, we actually call this point right here the point at which the market stops going down and it starts turning back up. Actually, do you know what we call this? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. This is a little bit more advanced.
I don't know if we've gone over
this bar and that bar, those two red bars there, we call that the institutional fingerprint.
Yes, actually, I do have notes on
because in essence, remember we said institutions buy down markets.
Yep.
Right? So somebody came along here and absorbed all of the selling here and stopped the market going down. And of course, look back in hindsight, and the irony of it all is it was probably Alan himself. And oh, by the way, people are probably asking, why the fuck do you call him Alan? He actually got heavily involved in the Bitcoin space, and a whole bunch of that through all of this, and the whole bunch of the Bitcoin OGs, it was beautiful. They were just like literally saying, go away. We don't want you here. You are cancer. And there was one guy, he was this European guy, and he was like 300 pounds, long hair. These like the Norwegian guys. 500 years ago, he would have been a Viking and he would have chopped your head off if you looked at him wrong, right?
Yeah.
And he affectionately called Elon Alan. And I was just like, oh, that's perfect. So from then on, I've called him Alan.
That's awesome.
Because, these guys have made so much money on Bitcoin. They don't give a fuck about another billionaire coming in and saying shit about Bitcoin. If anything, they're just like, we don't want you in this space. You're cancer. Go away. And actually, there's some people on the site, I've been in this space so long. There's some people who actually believe that Alan started Bitcoin. But anyway, we'll find that out down the road, I suppose. So, my question for you is, understanding that this was, what did we call these two bars here?
Institutional fingerprint.
All
and
right.
My notes say that's our visual reference to be able to see where smart money puts money into the market after the fact.
Okay, but to stop whatever down move, they literally stopped the down move. Does that make
Gotcha.
sense?
Yes.
All right. What a surprise. Looked where the market stopped going down. Do you think that was an accident? Look at the chart, Joe. Super important that you get
Yeah.
this.
No, it was not an accident.
Look where the market stopped.
Yeah.
Right into the same level that they stopped the selling before. I mean, all of this move was just bullshit. It was all fluff. And when the market's actually coming down after one of these big moves, what do I tell people to do to try and figure out where the market might actually bottom? Two words, they both start with the same letter.
Um,
I'll give you a hint. It's the same letter of our risk taker that we just talked about, the beginning of her name. You can't get much more of a hint than that. What's this letter?
old lady.
What's
Light. Okay, light lions. Josh says.
no.
I don't know.
Josh is trying to screw with you.
Josh, come on.
So I tell people to look left.
Okay, look left.
So do you see how we were coming down? Whoa, man, what a bear market. Blah.
Yeah.
Where the hell's this market going to stop? Well, look this direction. Look left. And if we look left, we see there's our institutional fingerprint. So they're likely to stop the selling where they stopped the selling recently. Josh, you're funny.
Josh, you get +1 because you made us laugh.
So you better write that down. Look left.
Yeah.
And the thing is this is actually, next time when you get, and actually I'd just be curious. Let's see. I mean, I'm throwing so many questions at you today, Joe. Your head's probably spinning.
I'm learning though.
Do you, Wyckoff looks left, I believe. Well, sort of. Remember, Wyckoff is actually going to be looking for the previous market structure breakout.
Okay.
So, and this is to Hex Love, who posted that in the chat there. So we would actually call this the Wyckoff check here. I actually prefer, believe it or not, to look for this low, because this is visual evidence of exactly where the institution stopped. And really, like I said, it was probably Alan and all of his algorithms and shit. I would imagine he probably has warehouses full of crypto miners. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a massive operation that's just sitting mining Bitcoin right now. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. And probably also Doge. Mind you, you do Doge through Litecoin, which is a whole separate conversation. So anyway, the point here is it's not surprising why the market stopped where it did. And that's really good educational material for anybody. So, why don't we finish with the educational part of today's show? And let's get into looking at some names. And just given some of the conversation that we had tonight, let's see if we can apply the same logic to those names.
So I like that idea. So first one we got was DIA.
DIA. Is that the diamonds? You trading stocks on this here? Is that Adam?
I looked it up and I think it's just called like DIA. Binance had it.
All right, DIA versus USDT. There you go.
Not sure how much. I haven't looked into this, so I don't know how much charting info we'll have on here.
And I seem to remember that you guys also had it's kind of a basic fundamentals criteria on this, don't you? Like on the platform?
So maybe not some of these newer coins. I don't feel like the top 250. I know for sure. Like we've got information on actually probably close. Yeah, I'd say 250 to 300 of them. Definitely enabled, but actually something that we've been having an intern work on is those biographies for uh some of these up and coming cryptocurrencies so we can have as much information as possible.
Yeah, I mean, is there? It'd be awesome if we could just do it right off of your platform.
Yeah.
But is there like we could like quote a coin gecko, I guess.
Yeah.
And we could probably do like a little bit of FA here just on the name, just see if. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, what do these guys do? I always, like,
So yeah, we
what's
do have something similar to this on Coinigy, but we don't we might not have the information filled in on it. Let me
so the question I would have for you is which one? Impossible Finance Launchpad DIA. Media, no. Diamond, no. Is it this
the top
DIA?
one.
You think it's that one? That
Um
sound about right, Adam? Was this was Adam that asked for this one,
DIA
right?
found in the AI and big data category. I use CoinGecko both through their Twitter.
All
He said,
right.
yeah, that
I think these guys give you a bit of a description of what they do, don't they?
yeah, if you scroll down, it should. Yeah. Maybe not.
That's weird. I can't remember that.
Okay, I've got them up on CoinMarketCap. DIA,
Coin
stand,
Market Cap? See, that's CZ, right? You know that he owns that, right?
interesting. So yeah, it says DIA it stands for Decentralized Information Asset.
Okay.
It's an
Coin
open
Market
source
Cap?
Oracle platform that enables market actors to source, supply, and share trustable data. DIA aims to be an ecosystem for an open financial data in a financial smart contract ecosystem to bring together the data analysts, data providers, and data users.
Okay, so at the end of the day, I always think it's a good idea for you guys to understand what's the fundamental reason why you'd be invested in this thing.
Mhm.
So, in fact, actually, didn't I give you a homework assignment
Yes.
to find like a half a dozen names you're interested in and do a little bit of
Yes.
fundamentals?
Yes.
Maybe in shows going forward, we can take a look at that list.
We briefly talked about half of them in one episode, but
All
uh
right.
we'll have to circle back maybe next week and we'll talk about the others. But yeah, you'd get for those who are just tuning in now, they had given me a task of finding like six projects and just pulling together reasons of like why I'd want to invest in them. What do they solve, or like why it's a better solution for
Right. So the
Z.
question I would have here, and I don't know if you can answer this, but maybe Adam can answer this, or maybe even some of the other people watching. But what makes these guys so special? Like, what is it that would distinguish these guys from any other cryptocurrency that I might want to buy? Yeah, sure, Hex. You gonna ask me to look at Hex?
We did that one about 3 weeks ago, I think. So Omar says AI.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you guys telling me. I'm the technician here. I'm not the fundamentalist. I mean,
I
I think
haven't
it would be a good idea that you have a good fundamental reason. And ideally, what we really want is what's called fundamental drivers. Have you ever heard that expression before?
No,
What's
I don't.
going to drive price? Like one thing that kind of worries me right now about the crypto space is, and I even put a tweet out about it, and nobody was interested at all. But I noticed recently somebody had brought to my attention. Um, let's see if I can find it for you. Where are you? You're in here somewhere. Oh, darn. Anyway, it was just recently. I thought I did it like today or yesterday. Yeah, here. Watch out. 22 altcoins have massive token unlocks in the next week. So I'd just be curious, Joe, and let's see if you can answer this or anybody of you guys. There you go. I like that, Omar. Uh, what is it that actually drives price in the marketplace? Two words. First word starts with an S, second word starts with a D.
Supply and demand.
That's right. So, if you were thinking about price itself and what is price going to do, does it not make sense that if there is a whole bunch of tokens that are going to be unlocked and given to whoever the appropriate token holder is, and they can now do whatever the hell they want with it, and if the price has moved up quite a bit, what do you think they might do?
Take their money and run.
Or sell, right?
That's what I meant. Take their money and run. They're gonna sell.
All right. So is that, and when it comes to supply and demand, is it often a good thing when you have like massively increasing supply hitting the marketplace?
No, sir.
Not if you want to see price moving higher.
Yeah.
So does it make sense that when tokens get quote unquote unlocked, that's basically telling you that there's a whole bunch of supply that's going to come and hit the market? Does that make sense?
It does.
And is that bullish or bearish? Generally speaking.
Bearish.
And ask Mr. Hex how that Hex went after they unlocked all those coins recently. It was pretty fucking ugly, I'll tell you that much. So, do you understand how this is a fundamental driver?
I do. I can see how that can drive the price down.
All right. So you as a fundamentalist, is it worth your while maybe pulling up this list and asking whether you own any of these? And whether maybe you might want to get the fuck out of there before those tokens unlock. I think so.
Yeah.
Do we want to see if DIA happens to be one of these tokens? Uh-oh. If you happen to see this on your hey, I'm in that one. Well, be careful. This is basically fundamental analysis, supply and demand. So it's important that you keep an eye on this kind of stuff. Now, unfortunately, I can't comment on the fundamental side of these names. What I will say on balance is how many coins does Bitcoin have outstanding?
What is it? So like 2-3 million. Are you saying like how many like that left to be mined? Are you saying?
Well, that's the total theoretically that will ever be, right? And
yeah.
In that kind of question, it would be like sort of total supply and max supply, right?
Oh, okay.
So we could always pull up Bitcoin so you can see that. And I would actually make the argument that this is half of the reason why Bitcoin is so popular.
Yeah, there's only going to be 21 million.
21 million. That's the maximum supply.
Yeah. I thought you were asking how many have like left to be mined. So
well, yeah, you can see there's not a hell of a lot more Bitcoins to be mined, are there?
Yeah. No.
But, for our purposes, that's fine. What I'm just trying to convey here is that in the stock market and in investing land, they absolutely love assets that have 20 to 30 million whatever's outstanding. Mm-hmm. That's like a rule of thumb. In fact, actually, there's fundamental screening models that I teach in the education program where actually that's one of the criteria, right? Don't have more than 25 million of whatever's outstanding. So let's go back to DIA. There's your number of coins outstanding as we speak.
Okay.
It's not a horrendous number. I'm not going to say it's horrendous. But I am going to say that if I was a value investor and I was looking for that super sexy number, 20 to 30 million, which is just perfect, This doesn't meet that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this actually isn't bad. 110 million of a total max supply of 200 million. So they do have lots of sort of room to grow. You know, you look at some coins and they have like literally trillions of coins outstanding. So how the hell do you put a value on a coin that has trillions of units? It's almost impossible. Then it's my big concern about things like these tokens and proof of stake kind of system. They can have absolutely horrendously large numbers of coins outstanding, which technically means that the individual value of one coin is very, very difficult to determine. So, you know, if you want to incorporate that kind of logic into your screening, we had one guy, in fact, we talked about him earlier this evening, right? Good old Da Vinci. I think we got his picture right there. When he was actually on the site, he actually was one of the few members of our community that actually could do some good rational fundamental analysis on the cryptocurrencies. And he even created a nice little screening script. I think we still have it in our library, if I'm not mistaken. We'll take a look here. Crypto, where are we here? Trade setups, fundamental screeners. And yeah, so this was actually Da Vinci's contribution. Crypto altcoin FA model. And this, of course, is going back 10 years. I might add a 0 onto the end of all this, but it's a handy little piece. And it just gives you an idea of how... Oh, darn. I was kind of hoping I could zoom in here. Hey, there we go. Oh, boy, that's big. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. Can you please get off the screen? How do I get that off the screen?
Your profile picture there in the corner. You the man.
What do I do? Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's worse. I wonder how I get that off of there. There we go. Oh, darn. Let's try that again. Okay, I'll leave my mouse alone. Take a screenshot of that. Consider it Brian's gift to you here today. But the point here is this isn't a bad sort of starting point for really good value. Now, you're going to need to tinker with some of these numbers because this model was built like 10 years ago when Bitcoin was only like $500, right? But the point here is this is a really good way of approaching the market. And, you know, you see a lot of these. I think it's a really good idea. You know, you can see greater than 1 billion coins, he gave the rating a -1. Listed on one exchange only, give it a -1. Listed on a number of exchanges, gives it a +1. Has a lot of trade history. Look at that, going back, remember, March 2014. Where were you in the world in March 2014, eh?
That was senior year of high school.
So the point here is not a bad contribution from Dav. Thank you very much, Dav. I'm sure Dav's probably, if he does watch this, goes, hey, take that down. Why the hell are you still making reference to me? Who knows? Anyway, point here is I think it behooves you to do a little bit of fundamental research into your actual name, right? And what's the name of my website?
The Rational Investor.
What does rational investing mean?
Making informed trades.
No. Good try. There's actually
the two you show me. It's like the fundamental analysis and technical analysis, and it's in the center is the rational.
What would we? More importantly, there is a specific word that I use. And actually, keep in mind, this isn't something that I made up. John Bollinger actually coined the term back in the 1980s. And Wall Street absolutely hated it. And in fact, they even call it something else. But I have so much respect for Mr. Bollinger that I want to call it his name. And I've used it ever since I first watched John on CNBC back in the late 80s, early 90s, I've called myself a rational investor. I live by this mantra. You
Mm-hmm.
know, hell, I even did up a website by the name.
Yeah.
So, in essence, right, this is going to be our fundamental analysis over here. And this is going to be our technical analysis over here. And really, my job is to try and find ideas where the fundamentalists and the technicians agree. That is what's called a rational investment idea. Some people also call it fusion analysis. That's what Wall Street sort of called it because they don't really like John. But I would say that that is rational analysis, where fundamental analysis, check, right? And I just showed you a pretty good, hopefully you took a screenshot of that. But I showed you a pretty good example of what a typical fundamental screen looks like. I think, do yourself a favor and go through this and, just try and, work with this over time. I don't think you're going to become an expert over it overnight, but, Dav here gives you a pretty good framework to work with. That kind of thinking. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Oh, darn. And then like that. No, come on, go away. Got that? Nope. Anyway, hey, you remember all that, right? So, anyway, what we want to be is rational investors. So, do yourself a favor and just create some sort of fundamental scoring metric. Remember your homework, right? What's the problem this chain's going to solve? And then, as somebody has put in here, Constantine, I noticed. No, where are we here? Anyway, I thought somebody I saw posted said they wanted to find where insiders are long. Does it make sense that if we knew that the directors of this DIA were long from 25 cents, then number one, do they want to make money being invested in this thing?
Yes, they do.
All right. And as a director of the company, would they have a pretty good idea of what the company's worth?
Yes.
Do you think that they want to overpay for the company that they're working for and invested in?
No.
So if we know where they're invested, is it not in our best interest to try and be invested around there?
It is in our best interest to do that.
All right. So if you can find information of where the insiders are long this kind of stuff, that helps immensely. That's another good fundamental metric. Now, we can't really do a rational study of this because really, honestly, I don't know this name from Adam. And there's Adam over there. Adam knows this. And actually, I suppose if this name is half as good as Adam, then I probably should buy this. But the point here is that I can't give you a rational look at this unless I really took some time and really dug into it. But what I will simply say is I'll give you the technical picture.
Yeah, let's take a look.
So first and foremost, are we chasing an up market?
No.
So that's a good sign, isn't it?
I'd say so.
Are we walking into a trap? I don't think so.
It doesn't look like it.
Looks like we're coming in kind of down at the bottom of the market, eh? What did I say was a typical pattern that most of these bottoms ultimately end up looking like? Do you remember? Might be a bit of a tough question.
Is that the 1 second, got not the teacup. What saucer?
Yeah. So that might be our saucer bottom that's happening, right? You notice how straight up and down all this is?
Mm-hmm.
Really what we want to see to believe that this actually is a base is you want to see this long, slow period where the public is probably completely lost interest in this. And you see how the price is really just not really doing much. So if you really wanted to like buy Lambos and stuff like that, you'd be sitting here watching this every single day going, where's my Lambo? Where's my Lambo? Where's my Lambo? Where's my Lambo? at some point you're going to get a little frustrated and just sort of give up. Eh? That's what
Yeah.
happens to the public. It always does. So that's for someone who is not invested or somebody who's thinking about investing. That's a good sign. That's kind of what you want to see. You want to see that this speculative nonsense, this stuff up here, it's gone.
That makes sense.
All right. So trade location, I think we could give it a check mark just
Yeah.
simply because we're not chasing. And in fact, the rule, if we use this, unfortunately with this right here, we don't know what the whole history of this is. But if we just go that this thing started in 2021, which I doubt, there's probably much more history. But just simply, reload zones, are we at or below the reload zone? I'd say
Yeah.
definitely yes.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry too much about you walking into a trap. I think location is okay.
So the project was founded in 2018, while
Right.
the supply was made available to the public during the bonding curve sale August 3rd to the 17th of 2022. Or sorry, 2020.
2000, and when was that?
So that's
September?
August. So pretty much right.
August.
This is yeah, like right there is like August, the 3rd to the 17th of August of that year. So that's pretty much right where this starts. There
Yeah.
was 10.2 million tokens were sold.
All right. And it looks to me, and actually that's pretty typical. All right. Was that like an ICO? Is that the expression that they used?
Um,
It doesn't matter. Point here is actually if you look at a stock like Facebook, it did exactly the same thing. It was brought to market, and right out of the gate, it just collapsed.
kind
Now
of like
that,
Coinbase.
pardon me?
Kind of like Coinbase.
Yeah, same shit, different pile. And there's nothing new going on with any of this. The issue here is that's the price at which the public got to play at. And of course, the public always loses money, right? So the question ultimately is where are the insiders? And that's very difficult information to find out in crypto. If anything, what I would almost suggest is if you want to try and figure that out, reach out to their community, try and figure out if they have any sort of like Discord channel. Like, for example, there's a little piece of shit altcoin that I really like. The principals are here in Vancouver in Canada. So I'm a member of their community. I'm long the coin, and this is their Discord channel. And if you want to go in and mope how crappy the coin's doing and why are you guys not getting off your ass and doing something about it, I would go in here and I would bitch and complain. But if you're new or you're a prospective investor, find their sort of social media community, jump in and start making some friends. And they might tell you exactly, in fact, actually, I think in crypto, they call it like the Genesis block. You ever heard that term before?
Yeah.
So that's usually where the insiders get paid is that Genesis block. So anyway, moving on, and we got some names here to look at, so I'm going to try and refrain from too much rhetoric here now. All right, so we're at the bottom end of the range. We meet the trade location criteria. How about indicator confirmation? Let's pull up our indicators and see what they're saying. Interesting how we were making lower lows in price here. You can see that, eh? Ugh.
Yeah.
But which direction is OBV going? Looks like OBV is going up. Have you ever heard me say that volume speaks volumes?
Yes.
So this is actually a very clear message that someone, hint, 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 probably an institution, is loading up on this thing. Do you see how they're buying all the way as this thing keeps going down?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very bullish sign.
Okay.
What do we call it when you see price making lower lows, but your indicator making higher highs?
I know this. Give me a sec. What was it?
Starts with
Blank.
a D.
Divergence.
Yeah.
There we go.
So in this case, and I used to, I remember I had one student. The guy is like stinking rich. He's like a landed gentry in fucking Europe now. But I had one student, he was here in Canada with me, and he was like a carpenter, right? And now he's like an aristocrat. That's how I can change your life if you let me. And
Sadly.
he got to the point where he's like, Brian, put all these other indicators away. I don't care about them. They don't mean anything. The only thing I care about is I want to see OBV divergence. If I see this, I'm in there buying like a son of a gun. So, I would suggest you pay attention to this name. I don't know the story behind it. Like I said, it would behoove everyone to do a little bit of due diligence. Maybe they're reinventing the wheel. I have no idea. But I will say, what was reason number 2?
Indicator confirmation.
Do you think we can actually say? I think we got
That's
confirmation from our OBV indicator that people are buying.
And then finally, we'll have to do the market structure.
All right. And so
And
the question ultimately here is, have we got any W's yet? And unfortunately, the answer is a big fat. Well, you tell me.
no,
Down, up, well, right off the fucking screen. Down, up. Oh, geez, that's an M. We just broke to a new low. Son of a gun. All right, maybe we're going to rally here. Maybe this will be our W. And oh, no, we just broke to a new low.
yeah,
See that? That's actually a lower low. Can you see that?
that is.
All right, well, you know what? This is the bottom. I guarantee you this is the bottom. And here comes an M, and oh, crap, we just broke to a new low. Fuck me. Excuse my French. So you tell me.
We don't have the market structure there.
So does it not make sense that we're kind of stuck at step 2 of the equation?
Yes, it makes sense.
All right. So if you want to sort of time your purchases, yes, this thing is a bull, and I can take a little bit higher risk, maybe of that $5,000 that I inherited from Uncle Louie. I'm actually going to do what's called a Joe 6-pack risk management, and I'm going to be able to risk I'm going to put $500 into that. I'm going to risk 10% of my portfolio. So remember, we had 5 G's. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to put 500. But if I'm going to take a Joe 6-pack approach, and that was like most of my clients when I was a broker, that's why I call it the Joe 6-pack.
Mm-hmm.
If I put $500 in, then when do I have to say, oh shit, I was wrong, get me out of here?
When
Anybody
you're
over on YouTube, can you help Joe out here? 5K is our stake. Whoops. 5K is our stake, which means
under 50.
I can risk $250 on an idea. And keep in mind, that's even very generous. A lot of futures traders, they do like half that number or maybe even a quarter of that number. Okay. But you're never, ever, ever, ever allowed to break that 5% rule. Ever. So if you ever see that you've lost more than 5% of your stake on any one idea, what do you have to do? You got to get the fuck out.
Pull out. Yeah.
You just got to get out.
Bite
so we said that the little old lady could just buy $250 of an asset, right? And then she doesn't have to ever worry about breaking the 5% rule, right? But that's not going to give you huge returns. You're not going to make a gazillion amount of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Joe 6-pack, he's going to double his risk, and he's going to go to $500. But if the investment goes down by how much, what does he have to? When does he have to get out?
At 250.
Right. So that's basically 50% risk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So in Joe Sixpack's case, we definitely have to respect stop losses. And that means that if position goes down 50%, we have to get the out. All right. We just have no choice. That's so for Joe Sixpack and all of the higher risk takers, margin trader, futures trader, options trader, now they have to worry about stop losses. Does that make sense?
It does.
So that's where things like, well, we're going to, do you see how this is potentially a W?
I could see it.
So we also said too, timing purposes, what do we want to wait to see happen with regard to this trend line?
You want to see W on the other side of it?
So really what that means, even to get to the point where we really want to take this trade, we actually want to see the market break that trend line. And that's a pretty damn powerful trend line. Look how many times the market's gone up to it and been rejected off of that trend line.
Yep.
That's very powerful. So it actually is in our best interest to let that get broken and then hunt the W on the other side of the trend line, something like that. Does that make sense?
Does.
So, do you see how we're sort of stuck at step 2? I mean, yeah, it's not a bad idea. A location. Okay, we're at the bottom end of the range. That's doable. And indicator confirmation. Yeah, I mean, we have a massive OBV div.
Yeah.
But market structure,
Not there yet.
that's right. Still waiting. Frankly speaking, I think that is basically where we are in the trade process on this name. I think actually it's probably just that simple. Now, because the little old lady is just going to take 250 bucks out of her 5Gs, she's going to buy and she can risk to zero. Does that mean the little old lady could go and buy right here?
Good.
Sure. And, I had a lot of clients that would be like, Brian, I don't want to time the market. I'm busy, right? In fact, our name on the site, although I don't think we have it named on Discord, but this group, that's the group of little old ladies at TRI, we actually have a name for the club. We call it the Canasta Club. And frankly, well, I don't know. A lot of little old ladies like to play canasta.
Okay.
I don't know whether you've ever heard that before, but
I've not.
no, you haven't?
No.
Anyway, go watch maybe an episode of Seinfeld. They're always talking about their Seinfeld's parents playing canasta. I think it's actually a Jewish thing. Are you Jewish? Maybe you're not Jewish.
No.
All right.
Boring.
I don't know. I hope that didn't come across as
No.
racist or whatever.
No.
But anyway, our little old lady club, we probably should have a name in it. Also the Canasta Club. And of course, Joshua over there, he loves making reference to the Canasta Club. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Doreen.
Pardon me?
Josh says, shout out to Doreen.
Yeah, my Aunt Doe. So she was actually my first customer who was officially a little old lady, and she was elderly, and there was, she's kind of like, Brian, I'm busy in the garden. I know you're a stockbroker. I know I'm trying to help you out. Here's some money. Go and find some ideas that you want me invested in, but don't ever call me about margin calls. Don't ever call me about, hey, I just lost all your money, because I'm not going to like that kind of conversation. So let's just keep it really simple. How can you invest and I don't have to worry about you blowing up my account tomorrow? And the answer is, this is the strategy that we came up with, was the little old lady strategy. So because the little old lady is only going to put in less than 5% of her portfolio, she can actually come along, and I recommend this for a lot of people, that you just come along and maybe buy $50 worth here. There's nothing wrong with that. And maybe you plan to buy another $50. Maybe you've done this all along because there's the reload zone. Maybe you bought like $50 here, then another $50 here. Well, Brian, you said W's are bullish, so let's go and buy some. Oh, okay. And it turns out, well, actually, it didn't really work out. But she's only $100 invested, and she still can invest another $150. So let's go and buy another $50 here. Let's buy another $50 here. Let's buy another $50. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So for those type of risk takers, I don't have a problem because this thing's dirt cheap. I don't have a problem with you saying I'm not going to time the market. I'm just going to, and this is actually what's called dollar cost averaging. Have you ever heard that term before?
Have.
Right. So that's basically what this strategy is. Maybe even put a hashtag, whatever the time mark is. We've been going for a couple hours here anyway. Brian talks about dollar cost averaging at 2 hour mark or whatever, right?
Make a note of it.
All right. So what do you think? Did I give this DIA idea justice?
I think you did.
Good.
Thank you, Adam, for that suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Adam, it doesn't surprise me. Adam's a fucking printing press when it comes to making money. So it doesn't surprise me. In fact, he probably already knew that this was a good idea and that I would probably say exactly this. So he was just throwing me a bone.
Give me play up for the dunk.
And I tell you, man, I've trained some just absolutely insane traders. Some of them are, there's one guy is actually, I think I made reference to him earlier. He's actually gone off and started his whole trading community from just literally just watching me for 2 or 3 years and just taking notes feverishly. And he actually even did shows with me a year or so ago. I guess about 6-8 months ago. And now he's off doing his own thing and running an empire and basically building up a huge following because he's a fucking good trader now. No doubt about it.
That's awesome.
And then, like I said, we got like aristocrats over in Europe. Jonathan, he's a character. We've built some very, very good traders. It's quite remarkable. Anyway, why don't we try and sneak one more in? So, and Adam says there, I'm taking small bets and nibbling. Haha. Yep, right you are, sir. Mr. Hex there, he started from the beginning with us, and he had to leave. So maybe he'll watch the rest of this later. And why don't we throw him a bone for being totally proactive and really active there to start with. He wanted us to look at, what was the name of that one?
That was HOA. I tried to search on CoinMarketCap. I didn't have any come up. So maybe if you want to try that just on Coinigy, I'm not sure.
HOA? I see here Hex Love, he typed in KEK.
Yeah, that's the two messages above that is the HOA. But yeah, KEK. This is the guy's coin that took your class.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be interesting to see what's happening there. Okay. Well, anyway, I can't see it. I'll just take your word for it. So, HOA?
Yes, that was no. Yeah, so we don't have that one. So it must not be listed on one of the exchange. One of the.
You guys cover almost everything too, so I'm not quite sure where that would be.
I didn't see it on the CoinMarketCap's list either. So
okay, I do see KEK. What's that? KEK? Well, that's not there either. Maybe these are DeFi names. Could be.
Oh yeah. So we actually were talking about adding some more DeFi exchanges. Actually, just last week, William had tasked me on pulling together like some of the top DeFi exchanges. So if anyone in the chat has got any good DeFi exchanges that you're interested in, or like decentralized exchanges too, like we have Uniswap and I think we have DYDX on there, but just for charting. So if you guys got any, let us know. Adam just said link.
Adam's already done
Omar.
one today.
Omar.
Let's
Sorry. Omar said link.
link. All right. Um, link's a little bit of an old story. In fact, actually, there's a new one that we were talking about in the site today. That's a competitor to link, and actually, I think I like it a lot better. But I am long link, so that's fine. Where should we do? We want to do Binance? I mean,
Yeah, let's do
you
that
and
too.
I, we can't trade on Binance, eh? So I
No.
think you're all right. So okay. Well, and actually, we can make this really easy. So first and foremost, let's go through the process.
Yep.
So are we at or below reload zones?
We are.
All
We're
right.
yeah, below it.
So that's a good sign.
Yep.
And
So
you know, if we're below, that's even better, right? Nice and cheap. You know,
yep.
Brian, he's a cheap ass. So I like that. That's a good sign. Um,
So you'd mentioned before like that 78.6 to 88.6.
that's
You
your
like
like
that?
your venture cap reload zone. That's even sexier, right?
That's
And
what
I
I
hate to say that. Look at that, eh?
okay, so you said that's venture cap reload zone.
And I guess you might argue Link is basically venture cap. So I don't think that should be a shock. There's your downtrend line. So have we broken the downtrend line?
Yes.
Looks like it, eh? How about let's start off with the process, right? So what did we say the process was?
So location is number one. And then number two, indicator confirmation. And then so indicator confirmation. And then three is market structure.
Okay, so can we give a check mark to number one?
Yes.
Looks like it.
Because it's in that venture capital reload zone.
Well, I
Well,
mean, I
okay.
don't even
So,
mind. I
yeah,
mean, can
sorry.
you see how when it came down into 61.8 to 78.6 here? You know, if you were a trader, would it be okay for you to buy that? And you can see it produced a
Yes.
pretty damn good rally, eh?
Yes. So,
So, I mean, that's cool that and if you want to just out of discipline, just make it a habit, I only buy 78.6 to 88.6, okay. It is more conservative and you are going to miss a lot of these kind of
yeah.
trades. And so be it. You know, like on the way up here, like, if we went back in time, and it was the middle of the bull market. Remember, we're in the shit right now, right? So shitty markets, bear markets, you're going to get that crazy ass venture cap reload zone. But if we applied the same principle in the middle of the bull market and we drew, our fib, here's our fib study, off of the low end of the range to the high end of the range, you see how you would have just been left behind here.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important for me. Like, it's not so much that you're going to pull the trigger at 61.8, but it's more like, and really on this one, I suppose, well, actually, that's a bit expensive. I might call that a bot setup. But anyway, the point here is just that I want you to have a tool that you can pull up at any given point in time and say, okay, well, this thing is done at 61.8% retracement. So I'm not chasing the up market. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Now, if you want to just make it a rule, look at Brian. I know how volatile these things are. And for me, trade location's got to be 78.6 to 88.6. Okay. But you're going to miss these kind of pullback trades. So all I'm saying here is I just want a tool that's going to tell me that it's okay for me to start thinking about buying. And that's where sort of this reload zone concept comes in. I don't ever want to be thinking about buying up here. Ever, ever, ever. So this rule just makes sure that you don't do that. All right, so trade location, I think we can give this a check. Which
Yep.
means that because we're at trade location, does mean that the little old lady can start buying. And if you just want to dollar cost average your way in here over time, I don't have a problem with that. You want to try and time your purchases a little bit better? Let's take a look at the indicators. Now, this is our OBV study. It's kind of flat. I don't really see anything really jumping out at us. And remember what we said. If you ever see OBV divergence, oh my God. I mean, that's just monster. So there's nothing really to do there. But let's maybe look at price momentum. Because keep in mind, OBV measures volume momentum. MACD, RSI, the Willy, this all measures price momentum. Slightly different. Don't like this look.
Yeah,
That
that's
doesn't
an M.
encourage me. I'm a little concerned that we've kind of broken down here. I did like this div, and I think I remember last winter, because keep in mind, there's the beginning of new year. I think I remember last winter I was like pretty bullish of this. Like right in here, nice big fat bull div. So it would be interesting to see whether we actually got a any kind of M or W in price following this event. I don't think we ever did, you know. So here is the price chart. There's the bull div on that move, and notice, you know, see that high in price there? Did we ever actually go and W out following that? Ooh, there's a big M. Yuck. We tried to W here. That's not bad. It does look like that's a little bit of a lower low, though. Oh, yeah, look at, can you see that? And this is where this stuff gets tricky, right? Because you can't BS it.
Yeah.
Do you see how that's a lower low?
Yeah.
Shitty. So there's no W here. Never came in. Worked our way up. W here, but the problem is when this W come in, we've actually got M's working in our momentum indicators now. Yeah, fudge. So I guess it's not really a big surprise. This thing went and puked out.
Yeah.
And now, you know, if anything, now we're kind of hoping that we can get a bullish momentum read here. And then that can start the process of looking for that W in price. Kind of like our trend line conversation. Does it make sense now? Because this is an M, the M was confirmed here. You could make the argument that that's actually your downtrend line. You just play connect the dots. In fact, because we went through this low here, there's actually a few M's, right? There's this M here, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's touching that there.
Right, there, there. In fact, yeah, let's put the magnet on here. So there, there. So boom, boom, boom. Interesting how we rallied up, but couldn't even get to that level. I think you probably got to see this thing be broken. And then, you know, what letter of the alphabet do we want to see on the other side of this trend line?
See a W.
Right. So the fact that we've actually M'd out and made a new low, I don't really like the look of that. And I'm not really getting the best momentum signals here.
Did I see the Willy?
Sorry?
Did you click on the Willy?
Sure. It was stupidly oversold down here. So it's interesting. We had like indicator confirmation all set up here. This thing was ready to rally.
You said the Willy getting oversold is generally a good sign?
Generally. And, you know, I might even argue if you were, and the reason why I call this stupid is that generally speaking, it's a stupid idea to be a buyer when this thing is above minus 20 here. And you tell me, was that a good time to be a buyer of this asset? Look what happened following. It was a dumb idea to buy there.
Yeah.
So conversely, would it have been a stupid idea to panic sell into these lows here? I don't think so. I think it would have been, you know, kind of a dumb idea. Actually, I should say, would have been a good idea to panic sell into these lows?
I knew what you meant.
And I think no. And it might just be something like, you know, maybe I'm not going to sell here. I'm just going to wait for Willie to get out of stupid. And then if I actually do get any signs of momentum failure or something, then I'll dump it. right? And so maybe instead of selling into all these panic lows down here, maybe you sold up top here or something, you know? Does that make sense?
Does.
It's a little bit better price. Willie's not technically stupid, but honestly, when I look at a chart like this, and if I am long, is this really a good place to be a seller of this asset?
No.
So, if I don't have to sell, is it maybe in my best interest just to leave this thing alone and maybe do something really outlandish? Like just simply say, look at there's the previous range, and I'm not going to look for new highs because frankly speaking, I think this story's over. But what is the very natural level that all markets should bounce to at any given point in time?
The 50%.
Exactly. So maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark up the 50% rule. And if and when this thing can get back into this level, then I'm going to let him have it. Does that make sense?
Does.
So that, regardless of what the indicators are saying, that would be my attitude on an asset like this is, do I really want to sell down at 88% of the previous range? Now if you have to make a mortgage payment, if you have to pay some blackmailer, if you have to pay some fucking hostage to get your wife or something, right? Then okay, you don't have any choice, right? You gotta liquidate. But if I didn't have to sell here, I think I would just, if I was the investment advisor, I'd probably say, you know what, there's probably a better time to sell. Maybe just hold off. But anyway, that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
As for this being a buy, I think what I need to see, unfortunately, I mean, like this thing was set up to rally. You can see the beautiful W's. All they had to do was just get this thing up through this level here. And this thing, actually really probably over here, this thing was going to be off to the races. But it just never came in. And like I said, there are competitors in this space now. And I think some of the competitors are actually looking a little bit more attractive. I'm a little disappointed, to be perfectly honest with you, in this name. Because, one guy in the space that I like for fundamental analysis is this guy, Tyler. I think his name's Tyler. That'd be funny if it wasn't. Anyway, he does this show called Chico Crypto.
Yeah.
And he's always been bullish of this thing. He really likes this story. So if anything, this would be a good example of kind of a name that I could very easily be like a little old lady on this. And remember we said that a typical bottom in the market usually looks like a saucer. So maybe what this thing looks like is something like that. And remember, what did we say 2023 year was?
Accumulation year.
All right, so maybe what this thing's going to do is it's going to spend 2023 carving out that saucer bottom. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a technical buy, but it is definitely down at the bottom end of the range. I think it has a pretty good fundamental story. It's just not ready to go yet. So can you dollar cost average your way into a name like this? I actually think that's not a bad idea. And FYI, that's what I've been doing. So a full disclosure, I am buying this thing down at the bottom end of its range. Dollar cost averaging, little old lady plan.
Beautiful.
Okay, it's now 20 past 7, so we've been going 2.5 hours. How did the audio sound? Let's do a audio check with the viewers. Can you give us some feedback while we're on the air? Did we do a little bit better job here today? Was this production quality? Did you feel like this was pretty good quality? I don't know how long it takes for the message to actually get to YouTube.
I think that a little back. Super better.
All right.
Anything was an
Excellent.
improvement.
All right. Good job. Awesome. All right. So you can thank whoever run OBS tonight for that.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. And like I said, I think what we need to do is get a GoFundMe campaign going. And actually, PC laptops aren't expensive these days, eh? So
Yeah.
maybe you know what? Maybe we could even do get your boss to throw $500 or something into an account here, and let's go
Okay.
and buy some Link and other names that you like. And when they pop, then we'll go and buy a PC,
That's incredible.
laptop, or something for you, and then you can get the OBS job back then.
Beautiful. See that. All right. Well, thank you again, Brian, for everything. I've got to now transfer over my notes from the day into my trading book, into my journal
Oh,
there.
oh, I like that. Good
So
verbiage.
I always I take my notes separately and then move them in to a little more well-rounded as I'm re-listening to the episode. I get the information and put it back over. But thank you for everyone that tuned in as always. And thank you, Brian, and best of luck with Liam. So
Thank you very
that's
much,
all for
sir. I
tonight.
appreciate that. Um,
And we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
Bye for now.